Arzum's branding goes back several decades. In 1966, three brothers started trading electrical appliances and building materials. Later, they decided to start exploring partnership opportunities with some of the foreign brands they were importing. They were collaborating with a well-known German brand at the time. When the German company did not want its brand name to be used in Turkey, the brothers decided to take a different course of action. As a first step, they got the brand name Arzum, as three brothers wish, and registered it as their trademark. Arzum in Turkish means my wish. Although the Arzum brand name consists of only 5 letters, it has an entirely different meaning to us. Arzum is known as Turkey's first electrical non-steam iron manufacturer. It has also produced a mechanical vacuum cleaner. Through these new products, Arzum started to gain recognition. How did this happen? The brand appealed to consumers by offering a variety of appliances for the home. It continued its long journey by producing Turkey's first orange press, then the first heater, followed by the first fan. During this time, Arzum was actually a part of a company called Güney İthalat, manufacturing as well as importing. They were selling electrical appliances at the midst of spices, right behind the spice market in Marputçular, Eminönü in Istanbul, Turkey. In those days, Arzum had a limited product range that included only 12 or 13 different items. The line was not expanded until 1996, at which point we had 16 different products in our portfolio. In those days, we were still manufacturing in Turkey or subcontracting where needed. The company was practicing original equipment manufacturing, OEM, back then. Looking back, registering the brand in 1966 was a visionary move for that time. We were also exporting our products to subcontractors in Italy, Europe, and Middle East, unbranded or with different brand names. In terms of electrical appliances, certain production sites, both in Turkey and the rest of the world, are well known. For instance, there was a strong production base in the Far East, especially in China, back in 1992. Today, China is a significant production base for global trade. However, we can only differentiate ourselves from the rest of the world's products by creating added value to our products. This could only be achieved through brand design, innovation, or R&D. The way to make ourselves stand out is to have control over these concepts and apply them correctly. Would it suffice to collaborate with China alone? No, it would not, because importing bulky products also increases the delivery costs. Therefore, we needed to think analytically and determine which products should be produced in Far East, in Turkey, and Eastern Europe. During the period from 1992 to 1997, we decided which part of the production will be undertaken in Turkey, which in China, and which in Eastern Europe. This was done by assessing the strengths and the weaknesses of our supply chain's different parts. Today, Arzum purchases nearly 3.5 million products from different parts of Turkey as well as the world, and makes sure that consumers around the globe have access to our products. Roughly speaking, Arzum purchases products from 3 continents and sells products to 4 different continents. Throughout this operation, time is crucial, even more important than the cost, because if you cannot deliver on time, you will fail inevitably. Thus, logistics is critically important. We choose to work with at least one local producer in each product category. This is how we acquire locally manufactured products. In addition, we establish good relationships with the best producers of each product group. This approach gives us an upper hand in innovation and differentiates us from the competition. Through these collaborations, we are able to keep Arzum up to date while at the same time transforming it into a fast-moving company. In addition, we make sure to purchase half of our products from Turkey, the other half from the international producers. This enables us to disperse our risk. If we encounter a problem somewhere, it may be related to a customs duty or an issue regarding the product supply, we make sure that we have alternatives. This is how we manage the entire process. Arzum, which had only 15-16 different products in its portfolio in 1996, has over 250 different products as of 2015. If I need to tell you how we got there, we have to go back to 1990. Private TV channels had just entered the Turkish market, and Wheel of Fortune was a huge hit. We had Arzum products placed on the wheel, and whenever the wheel stopped at an Arzum product, the presenter would announce it as Arzum. Since the program was so popular, the Arzum brand name became very well known within a short time span. It reached a point that when we were conducting shop visits, our customers would greet us saying, "Murat from Arzum is here." In 1992, we started our first long-term TV campaign with Arzum food processors. We achieved a great momentum with that campaign, as our food processors sold over 4 million units in Turkey. That initiative we have taken with our food processor proved to be a significant turning point for the Arzum brand. The year 2001 was a milestone both for Turkey as well as for Arzum. Turkey suffered a deep economic crisis in 2001, bringing the whole economy almost to a complete halt overnight. During those hard times, we became the first company to offer a 3-year warranty so that the Arzum brand would establish itself better and maintain its sales. This move also differentiated us considerably from rest of the competitors. Our sales suddenly soared. As I mentioned before, in 1996, we had only 15 products. Today the figure is over 250. During the 1996-2001 period, we continued to increase our product portfolio, although it was not at today's rate. In those days, our production process was mainly based on metal. Either metal molds or aluminum molds were used. Those molds were more costly, as well as requiring more time to process compared to the plastic ones used today. The revolution in plastics industry reduced the cost of plastic mold investments, allowing quicker response to time and the capacity to meet consumers' needs faster. Thus, we managed to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace by keeping our costs under control, while at the same time making higher quality and more functional products. Arzum made the best use of this by outsourcing some of its production. Because of this, we were able to implement the best technological adaptations quickly that each producer was making use throughout the supply chain. Therefore, metal and bakelite-based production technology, an early form of plastic, has gradually transformed into plastic raw materials. This gave us a greater speed, allowing us to produce faster from 2001 onwards. Hence, we became more flexible in terms of adopting new product processes that consumers were demanding. As you know, there are books written on this topic. When you think about it, faster fish always beats the bigger fish. We were able to move faster in the marketplace. We answered the market demand better, while keeping product costs down by working with the different producers from Turkey, Far East, and Middle East as needed. As Arzum, we were able to meet consumer needs while providing high-quality service. This was especially the case in Turkey. Here, the crucial question was to determine the specific product that would give us a competitive edge. As we studied consumer habits, Turkey's tea culture stood out. Turkish people drink nearly 250 million glasses of tea per day. However, in Turkey, we brew tea differently than the rest of the world. With this in mind, we launched Arzum Çaycı in 2002. Arzum Çaycı, tea maker in Turkish, had a head start. It was conceived by an Italian designer and was supported by a substantial advertising campaign. Just as with the food processor I mentioned earlier, Arzum Çaycı was also sold in millions. Although sometimes it may not be considered within the value chain, the role of design is very important for our sector. We know that while purchasing a product, the brand, price, and after-sales services are all important factors affecting the decision-making process. But a person's kitchen also represents his or her world and taste. We decided not to work with a group of in-house designers for our products, mainly because once you have an assigned team of designers, this may lead to a sort of color blindness. A designer who only works on kettles may start to create similar kettles after a while. However, a designer who have recently designed a motorcycle for a Japanese brand, for example, could bring in a totally different perspective for our iron's handle design, possibly taking inspiration from the motorcycle's handlebar and the command panel and the handheld gas grip. When you are riding a motorcycle at 100 kilometers an hour, your right hand is usually your only connection to the gas, maybe to life as well. Similarly, the handle of an iron provides the most important connection between you and the iron. An incorrect grip or a faulty design may tire your arm. For instance, 60-minute ironing job wear you out very quickly and you may have to stop ironing after half an hour. As we begin to pay more attention to such details and design, we started to differentiate ourselves more in the market. After 2001, we started launching different products faster and continued building upon our brand name. In 2004, we gained a different momentum thanks to the Arzum Onan campaign. Arzum Onan was Miss Turkey and Miss Europe in 1993. As our brand name and our celebrity's name merged together in the eyes of the consumers, our all products benefited from the synergy. Following that campaign in 2004, we had another breakthrough. Every year since 2005, Istanbul Mineral and Metal Exporters Association, IMMIB, organizes an industrial design competition. I was also a jury member in 2007, and that year we began producing of the award-winning toaster by Atıl Kızılbay. This was the world's first toaster while bread could be placed on the side rather than from the top. It brought us 6 separate design awards from all over the world. This success truly belongs to Atıl as much as Arzum. The product really differentiated us. If I am not mistaken, it was sold in 12 countries today, and the demand for it continues to grow. Arzum approached the traditional toaster design from a totally different perspective, which really has not been done until then. As a result, we can now toast the middle slice of a giant Trabzon bread without having to cut it into half. Once again, seemingly small details make a world of difference for our consumers. We also produced a thermos bottle which has 2 compartments allowing tea and water to be poured separately. This enables our customers to make their tea light or dark, whichever way they prefer. Another example was created when we listened to our mother customers and made a chopper with 2 parts so that the different parts could be used for different functions. For example, mothers can chop onion and garlic in one part while making banana milkshakes in the second part without getting any complaints from their children. These all made a difference for Arzum. Arzum listens to both consumers as well as their own employees. I would like to emphasize the word employee here. We conduct think tank workshops which we have created with our employees. If an idea generated here gets approved and implemented, we pay our employee 1.5% of the profits arising from sales of that product for the first 5 years. The blender I mentioned earlier was developed by Elif, one of our employees. Even more striking, the original design was drawn by her son Berk. We took that original design and revised it, made it compatible with industrial design principles, and in the end developed a new product with added value. The number of such products will gradually rise. We label these products only at Arzum, since they were truly unique to Arzum in respect to the original design and idea generation. No other electrical appliance brands can have these products. Thus, We aspire to develop them to differentiate ourselves from competition, set ourselves apart, creating innovation to get our customers' attention. We strive to do this not only for consumers in Turkey, but also in global scale. That's why we want to increase the Arzum product portfolio. Following oil, coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world, with a trade volume amounting to $20 billion. Turkish coffee is at the center of this trade. That's why we want to increase the Arzum product portfolio. This is because coffee first came from Ethiopia to Yemen, then arrived at the Ottoman Empire during the Solomon the Magnificent's reign, gradually becoming the everyday drink of the public. However, today, 1.2 billion cups of coffee are consumed throughout the world. But the consumption of Turkish coffee does not even account for 10% of this total. With this in mind, we investigated why Turkish coffee is not so popular and realized that the major setback is its preparation. This is why we made the very first electrical coffee pot. Another brand soon followed us with its own machine. There was no other machine for Turkish coffee other than these. So that was where we had to focus. Our idea was to promote Turkish coffee in the world and to spread the culture all over the globe. This way, Turkish companies could benefit from everything surrounding that culture, the coffee pot, the machine, and everything else that comes with it. Expanding Turkey's coffee culture could create a difference in the 50 billion coffee machine market. Among the electrical appliances, coffee machines have grown in double digits for the past decade, selling 100 million units annually. Even though espresso seems to be the trend at the moment, we believe that the Turkish coffee has a great potential as it's being consumed more and more every day. Currently, the electrical appliances market is estimated to be worth 2.5 billion Turkish liras, and Arzum has a grip on this market. As a result of a number of initiatives, Arzum has made it to the top 10 brands in 2004, especially in the kitchen, tea, drinks, and toaster groups. The electrical appliances market is worth about $50 billion globally. Arzum created a significant difference by specializing in small electrical appliances and by communicating the right messages to the consumers. In the event of any shortcomings, we have always stood by our brand and products. The success was achieved in 2004 and 2007 drew the attention of various foreign investors. We always wanted to take the necessary steps to move from a family-owned company towards an international company. Naturally, we did this with the consent of the family. Our desire was to go beyond being a strong Turkish brand and open up to the world as a small electrical appliances company born in Turkey. We wanted to dedicate ourselves to this cause. Ashmore, a well-known London-based private equity fund, invested in Arzum in 2008. We sold 49% of the company to Ashmore, leaving us with a majority 51%. Up until that time, Arzum worked through various distributors and agencies. However, the company wanted to open its own subsidiaries. Having Ashmore as our partner made us stronger financially. We opened our first office in Hong Kong, first store followed in Skopje, Macedonia, and we ran that store for about a year before handing it over to a distributor there. In this way, we paved the way for a system where local distributor could take over, look after our brand once we have left. Later on, we established a company in Munich to take the first steps into Europe and the European Union. In the period from 2008 until 2013-14, we doubled our revenues with Arzum branded exports. We have restructured during these 5 years by exporting about 10-11% of our total revenues with our own brand. During this time, Arzum had a major transformation. We had subsidiaries abroad and doubled its revenues. In 2013, Mediterra, another prominent private equity company, sought to purchase Ashmore's shares. As a result, Mediterra became our minority partner with 49% of the company shares since the middle of 2014. We strive as much as possible to take rational steps and offer our consumers products and services that are produced quickly and in a cost-effective way. For us, the process does not end once the product is sold and delivered to the consumer. That's why we assign special importance to after-sales service and offer a 3-year warranty. We make every effort to provide consumer services around the clock. We can even pick up a product, repair it, and return it to the consumer's house when requested and in certain cities. We aim to expand the service throughout Turkey because if you want your brand to be ingrained into your consumer's mind and even more important, into their hearts, you should not let them down. If for any reason you cannot satisfy your consumers or meet their expectations, then you need to stand by your own brand and take responsibility for it. In my opinion, Arzum has done this to a great extent, and as it is the market leader in terms of the volume, while maintaining 5th place in the value of shares in the Turkish electrical appliances market. Arzum became the market leader in terms of volume share in 2004-2007 period, becoming the most selling brand. Roughly speaking, we sell nearly 3.5 million products annually, meaning that 1 in every 4 households own at least one Arzum product. In addition, during this period, Arzum was placed in the 5th position in terms of value market shares. Therefore, we fully believe in our brand and continue to seek success in every possible way.
Part 5. Questions and answers on value chain. Question 1. What is a value chain? It was 1985 when Harvard professor Michael Porter published his book Competitive Advantage, which made its way to the bestseller list. The business world heard of Porter's name for the first time in 1980 when his first book, Competitive Strategy, was published. They have been closely following him since then. Porter focused on the value chain concept in his second book. Simply put, the value chain describes the totality of all activities that a company needs to do to be able to produce valuable products and/or services. Porter argues that companies need to reconsider their entire processes with the help of value chain concept, starting with procurement, continuing with production, marketing, and distribution, all the way through after sales. Porter states that a company could create cost advantage only through this method. In the end, this advantage becomes the company's competitive edge. Back in 1985, Michael Porter was stressing the fact that companies need to pay special attention to creating a value chain, both in its primary and secondary activities, in order not to lose its competitive advantage in the marketplace. From the very start, the company's goal must be set towards creating value, beginning from the purchase of raw materials to intermediate products needed for production to finished goods, and then extending throughout the entire process, including distribution, marketing, and after-sales services. It will not suffice to consider a value chain only in the primary activities of the company. Similarly, companies' secondary activities, which comprise supplying input to companies in an indirect way, such as company infrastructure, human resources, technology, and the total supply chain, should be revisited to make their entire processes more efficient than those of competitors. This is the only way to increase the company's profit margins. Once this is achieved, the company can enjoy better means of infrastructure, hire more competitive personnel, and always be one step ahead in terms of technological advances, which all leads to acquiring a more competitive position in the marketplace. Therefore, the value chain concept is generally covered in the first chapter of marketing books and is studied by every company. During the 1990s and 2000s, internationalization became more widespread and companies began to put it into practice more often. In addition, the value chain gradually transformed from a domestic concept to an international one. Parallel with technological advances and the spread of the internet in particular, companies began to obtain expert views from different parts of the world on R&D, design, and even marketing and branding to increase their productivity and optimize their profitability. Globally, there was also more of a focus on qualified labor forces from emerging countries. Therefore, while emerging economies prepared for more important roles in the global trade, having additional revenues and improved economies, developed countries, on the other hand, achieved cost advantages, leading them to be more competitive both in domestic and international markets. In the end, the concept of value chain created a win-win situation for all related parties. Today, technology has nearly eliminated all geographical borders. Companies that do it all within themselves are replaced by companies with different departments and units in different parts of the globe, run by groups of individuals or institutions that work for these companies in completely different parts of the world. Company management teams are gradually letting go of the control function and opening up to global solutions. As seen in the visual, those companies that can better orchestrate their network of relationships end up with strongest organizational structures. For instance, over 3 million parts needed to produce a Boeing 777 jet are supplied by nearly 900 companies from 17 countries. Similar examples can also be found in the textile industry. Today, a windbreaker travels a long journey before it is finally sold to a consumer. First, it starts with its raw materials being purchased from 6 to 7 countries just in time. Then it is sewn together yet in another country, and then finally sent to its final destination for end users. Question 2. Please explain the value chain concept using Arzum case as an example. At the end of 1990s, Arzum recognized global developments and implemented the concept of value chain by collaborating with various producers and designers across the globe. Thus, they gained a significant market advantage both domestically and abroad. In the mid-1990s, Arzum decided to eliminate its own production unit and instead started working with other domestic and international producers, both to improve its efficiency and to differentiate itself from the competition. With this action, it protected domestic producers and dispersed its own risk. The flexibility of the system eliminated the need to carry stock and enabled the company to work with producers that provided the best conditions. Similarly, in the 2000s, Arzum began to apply the value chain concept to design. Instead of working with an in-house design team, the company collaborated with reputable designers as well as promising young talents, creating some of the most unique ergonomic designs in the world. This move not only provided considerable cost savings for Arzum, but it also allowed the company to differentiate itself in terms of design, to enjoy the freedom of applying new designs, and to benefit from the synergy of different teams. Arzum has not only created value chain in production, distribution, logistics support, and after sales, which Porter describes as primary activities, but it has also managed to apply it on secondary activities, such as the company infrastructure and work environment, while increasing workplace efficiency and the motivation of human resources. Naturally, working with production and design teams located in different parts of the world and coordinating this complex relationship network is no easy task. However, in new global companies, managerial control is diminishing, opening the way for more specialized staff. In addition, new areas of expertise are appearing by the day, all of which are interrelated. Hence, the new managerial system should be able to orchestrate these complex relationship of networks, introducing the ability to have business relationships across many different platforms. With the above in mind, we sincerely believe that companies such as Arzum will help in bringing a different perspective to the value chain concept. Question 3. How did the value chain concept evolve with globalization? Please give examples. As globalization spreads throughout the world and Eastern countries get the upper hand over Western ones in global trade, we will witness more and more companies to open up to the world. Only those who will succeed in orchestrating this network of complex relationships will grow stronger by the day. For instance, Jansson provides interesting examples in his book titled International Business Marketing in Emerging Country Markets, published in 2007. Here is one. A UK company buys fish from Norway and then sends the fish to China after freezing it. The frozen fish is defrosted and filleted and then sent back to the UK. At first, China was used for the filleting process due to its lower labor costs. However, an extra 20% savings was achieved by having the filleting process performed manually in China instead of with the help of machines somewhere else. There are many such striking examples. Consequently, the value chain concept has gradually gained wider acceptance globally. These examples prove that traditional companies that perform all their processes themselves are being replaced by companies trying to create value chains around the globe, moving away from a centralized control function and eliminating geographical borders with the help of technology. Like Arzum, other Turkish companies have also taken steps in this direction after the 1990s and have made great progress. Arzum is one of these successful examples. Bye for now, until we meet again for another case in the series.